Hey everyone, Updog here, and I am back from being gone for a little while. I was on vacation and then just trying to get caught back up. So I am back and back with a new graphic that I made. And since we had the announcement of Dark Dimension 6, I thought it would be good to keep an eye on your centerpiece uniques, because I believe you need 65 total centerpiece uniques per character if you're going from 16, 17 to 18 gear tiers. So, thought it would be helpful to put this out there, tell you guys which characters that I could make a case for. Some are better than others. That you can make a case for to bring to Dark Dimension 6. And just keep a lookout for those uniques, because you're going to need a lot of them. So let's take a look here. So first up is Adamantium, and Ultron and Lady Deathstrike have some good utility. And X-23, her stats are probably a little bit lower than what you'd want, but her cooldowns are pretty low, so that might be an option for you. Next up is going to be alien spores. I'm sure we all have a ton of alien spores, and I know I do. Really the only two good options across the whole global cosmic city legendary would be Ghost Spider, and maybe case could be made for Anti-Venom. So then we got on to Arcane Magic. Agatha, because you're building her for the big apocalypse, and the other characters just because they have some decent utility. I did Magic for DD5 myself. She did okay in Cosmic. It was more about the Eternals just wrecking things. So, but she has the turn rewind, she has the barrier, so she's not a bad option. Probably one of the biggest, besides Miasma, would be this Astral Energy. Now, keep in mind that Apocalypse is global, so you can use him in global, and then you can also use him in the last however many nodes it is, 2, 3, whatever it is, because there's going to be a legendary and apocalypse section. So I think he'd be a great addition to your global team. Psylocke and Sunfire I put on there because they're part of the Horseman teams, kind of like Agatha. Then you have Icarus and Cosmo. Her kit is really pretty decent, so I think she might be an option as well. And we have Phyla and Silver Surfer as other options. Next up, Ballistic Weave. We have Titania, which with her low cooldowns and her control, she's going to be a great option. Now, I haven't looked at the cost of any of these as far as how many mini uniques you need for each of these characters. That'll probably be another graphic that I'll do, since some of the content creators that used to do those are no longer with us. But I know Taskmaster used to be, for like the other Dark Dimensions, the other gear tiers, he was pretty expensive. So he would be good, but he might be expensive. So was Emma, I think. Emma was pretty expensive. And then you got Sinister. He's always going to have some usefulness with his clone and his healing. Then we got Firestar too. Now, she's a good city option, and she's mutant, so would be a good option there, depending on how much she costs. Then we have Rogue, of course, would be a great option. The Bloodborne Nanobots. Now, I only put really the only characters I think to take this is like AIM, and then Phantom X and Misty Knight. So I put Misty Knight on there because if you're doing Gamma 4.5, and she was pretty cheap for the previous gear tiers, so if she's cheap again, it might be an option. She doesn't, I didn't have her, but what I heard was she didn't last very long, but she does have the control aspects, defense down, ability block. I think she has a stun too, so she might come in handy if you're gathering up a bunch of those nanobots. Carbonadium has really gotten a lot of good characters that use it lately, and the ones I picked out were Nemesis for being on the Death Seed team, Winter Soldier because not only is he on Rebirth, but he could also be used in Gamma 4.5 as well. Star-Lord T'Challa, I used him in DD5. He did pretty decent. I mean, he didn't last as long as Cersei and Icarus, but he did his job pretty decently. Then we got Omega Red. He's almost a no-brainer, I would think, and I'll tell you, I'll go over my ideal team with you at the end here. So experimental formula, most of the Web Warriors use this. I would only recommend Peter Parker and Miles. And then Dark Beast is another good option. He's got an ability block. He's got the assists. So, you know, you've already built him up for Apocalypse, so that'd be a good option as well. Focus Chi. So Wong uses that, and although I wouldn't recommend him, he's an option, I guess. Just because he's on the Darkhold team. And then Colleen and Iron Fist, I only threw them on there because, again, of Gamma 4.5 if you're in that lane, the middle section of that map. So, next up is Fortified Chromium. So, we only have 3 characters that use this, and I have all 3 of them on there. Quicksilver and Zombie Iron Man, I think they would be pretty good options. And then, obviously, Archangel. So, there you go over that one. The gamma radiation, Hulk is going to be a good option, I think, just because he synergizes with so many things with the gamma team, with the wave 1. You can, pretty much put him in there and put him as a healer, and he'll bounce back and do his thing. So yeah, and Abomination, he does have some decent kit with low cooldowns, so. And you're building them already, so might as well. And then we got Red Hulk, of course, that's a no-brainer. And then we have Gravitonium. So in the past, people have recommended Longshot and Shatterstar, and I just don't think they're gonna stand up to the test of time in Dark Dimension 6. They were good back in, was it DD4, I think it was, when they was the first Dark Dimension that they came out. So I don't think they're gonna stand up. I put She-Hulk in there just again because you've already built her up. I wouldn't recommend her, but there's a case to be made to use her. And then Korg. Now I think he has a decent kit, but I think he would be better if you were to take another Nowhere teammate along with him. So we'll get to that as we go down. Infinite Energy. Now Viv, even though the Bionic Avengers are on the way out, she has a good kit. She has a debuff flip, and then the ability block, and then she also adds Deflex. So if you already have her at Gear 16 or 17, might be something to take a look at. And she's tech, so we don't have a lot of characters that use tech. So yeah, might be worth thinking about for that. And then for City, we have Dagger, which I'm pretty sure is going to be a really good option for City, because there's not a lot of City at the moment. Now I will be updating this every patch as we get new characters, so especially the legendary section, I'm guessing if we get a couple more legendaries before the normal free-to-play people get into Dark Dimension 6, I will update that. But as of right now, when I made this, which was June 1st, a couple days ago, I'm suggesting Dagger, and there's a case to be made for Mr. Negative. He's got some good damage, got good control, he's got the minions, so yeah, I think he'd be decent. Judas Bullets, so some caveats here on, on those. I think Iron Fist World War II would be good if you could pair him with another invader. And then same for Star-Lord Annihilation. So if you wanted to do Korg and Star-Lord, that would be a better combo than just one or the other. Aluminium, so funny thing about that one. So this NGO is no good options. There are no good options. Even the legendary option here, I put not a good option for aluminium, which would be Jubilee. Now I used Jubilee, I think it was in Dark Dimension 4, and she was always the first one to die. She has such bad health. I mean, her kit's decent, but if you can, the problem is keeping her alive long enough. So, and then we have the next, I would say, highest demand unique would be the Miasma. Now, Doom is obviously a good choice, but we also could use Dormammu and Deathpool and Hela. And then definitely, I think Cloak and Dagger both are going to be just totally the answer, at least what we have right now for us in City. And then we have Adam Warlock as well. Still good. So, Molecular Cloth is next. We have Weaver and Peggy Carter. And Peggy Carter, I think, will be good as a combo. So, there you go with that. And then Shang-Chi, I think, is still a great option for City. Then Palladium, we have Brawn. And again, just because you've been working on him already. And then Magneto would be the legendary with that unique. He would be better with, if you have him with Archangel, obviously. And a 1-2 punch there. So, Prometheum. Now we have Scarlet Witch and Strange Heartless. Heartless, I had him actually in DD5, and he did pretty good, actually. Him and the Eternals really just carried it. And then I had Magic and Star-Lord T'Challa. So, he's not bad. Scarlet Witch, again, just because you've already been building her. Quantum Energy, we have Dazzler. Same story there as with some of the others. Kang, I think, is probably one of the biggest ones you want to try to focus on. Another legendary that got left out here under the Quantum Energy would be Black Bolt. I don't think he's gonna do much. From DD4 and DD5, people I've seen who used him, he just stood there because he's so slow. He didn't put out his damage. So yeah, that's what the deal is with that. Shield Tech. So I think Maria is a good option because number 1, she has her minions. Number 2, she has her cleanse. And then number 3, if you compare her with characters that have deflect a lot, like Captain America, Cap World War II, anybody who has deflects, she has a chance to heal on a block. So you could come up with a good combination with her. And then Kestrel, no really explanation needed there. Miss Marvel, I mean, she'd be better if you had a Young Avenger with her, or Hero Brawlers. I did use her for DD5. She was okay. She took the damage, when people were getting low, and sometimes I had to reset, if she just got deleted or whatever, and didn't really taunt that well. But she's got self-healing, she's got deflex, she's got energy to Hero Brawlers, so she's a decent City option. But there are better ones, but she still you could make a case for her. Superhuman Serum. So Cap World War II, I think, is going to be great. A lot of his kit, the bonus stuff that he gets in raids, it's not that big a deal. He gives offense down, turn rewind, I believe, outside of raids as well. He gives slow. He gives energy to invaders. So if you can pair him up, especially if you can pair him up with an invader, I think he would be a great option. And then we got Fury. With Fury's rework for the invaders, I think that makes him a very good candidate for the legendary section. However, in the past gear tier iterations, he's been pretty expensive, so that'll be something to keep in mind. Now we got Osmium, which only 3 characters use that currently. And I put them all 3 on there. So Gambit, he's pretty self-explanatory. He's got the ability block and then the passive attacks all the time. So I used him in DD5 and he was great. No regrets there. And Morgan Le Fay and Nova. So no explanation needed there. Titanium, we have Silver Samurai, which I think he's a little bit underrated in Dark Dimension. He's got the stun. He's got heal block. He can cleanse debuffs from himself. So, and they taunts. So, yeah, I think he's a decent option. And I can't remember. I know somebody who had him in DD5, and he liked him a lot. So, yeah, that's a good option. And then Doc Ock is going to be an option. I think. The legendary section is just so sparse, so pretty much I left off a few legendaries on here, as you can see, but I kept most of them. So Unstable Cloth. So Moonstone, she has a stun and defense down, and she can give herself energy on a vulnerable attack with her basic, so I think she'd be good, but she'd also be better with more Masters of Evil characters on her team, because in her passive she gets like evade and offense up and a bunch of stuff per every Masters of Evil character. So I think she wouldn't be a bad option. Now for City, Squirrel Girl and Spider Woman for the control, Squirrel Girl for the healing. Squirrel Girl kind of has some control too. She has her offense down and heal block and things like that, so she's not a bad option either. And then we have Invisible Woman, which might be surprising to you guys, but I did use her in DD5, and she was probably one of the first to die, but she has her cleanse and her barrier, so she's definitely somebody you could consider if you have a ton of this Unstable Cloth lying around. So Uru, we have Cersei, and I put in Infinity War Thor, and just because of the other Nowhere characters that I had on here, I think they all have pretty good kits. Not many special things tied to war. There are some, but I think they do okay in Dark Dimension. But I think Cersei's probably the better option. And then Vibranium, the last one. So I put Cap, and then I also put Black Panther 1 mil. And I just think because his low cooldowns, he can steal buffs, the defense down that he puts out there. I think he's a decent option if you have a bunch of Vibranium. And Kingpin, what did I say on there? I said Vibranium would be better spent, elsewhere. So although he's an option, unless you have just a ton of Vibranium, which I don't think a lot of people will if they're building them up for Gamma 4.5 raids and Cosmic Crucible. So although he's going to be a decent option, I don't know if he would be the bet. Like if you could only choose one character, one or two, I would go with Cap, 1 mil, or then Shuri. So that's the graphic, and I'm just gonna show you real quick kind of my dream team as of right now for DD6. Now I didn't account for you know, this I have this many mystics, this many skill, this many attack. I just picked all the top characters that I would want to use. So here we go. So for global, I have Cap World War II, Quicksilver, Weaver, Apocalypse, and Iron Fist World War II. So a little bit of mix of raid teams, Crucible, standalone characters, basically characters that I use every day, which is kind of what you want to do, in my opinion, for Dark Dimensions. So that would be my global team, my wish list, or if I could have all the gear that I needed, that's what I would go with. Now Cosmic, this is like overloaded team. I think Cosmic's going to be pretty easy to get through, especially if you use Eternals, but it is a lot of Mystic gear, like I said. So I don't know, my plan and what I want to do versus what I end up doing is probably going to be different. So yeah, but this is my dream team here for Mystic. Now City, I think the new Warriors are going to be pretty decent. I'm not going to go with Gwenpool. I didn't put Gwenpool on this list, but I think the 3 new Warriors and Shang-Chi and Squirrel Girl, I think that's probably going to be the team you want. At least as of right now, unless we get some new characters. And then Legendary. So we have 2 sections for Legendary. We have Legendary non-Horseman, and then any Legendary and Apocalypse could be used. So this is what my thinking is. I'm going to use all these characters for the first 4 or whatever, however many it is. I guess it's only 2. Only 2 nodes. First 2 nodes, use this team for the Legendary non-Horseman. And then the next 2 nodes, you can use Apocalypse. So I'll probably drop Invisible Woman, throw in Apocalypse, and that team should be perfect. I mean, I don't think it would be worth your time, at least on the first run. Maybe the second run, you could add like Red Hulk or Morgan Le Fay or something. But I think this team should breeze through Legendary pretty good, pretty easy. You got tons of control, you got barrier, cleanse, you got the buffs from Nova, the more healing from Shuri. So yeah, I think that is the team to go with for Legendary. So let me know what you guys think of my dream teams, and if you like this graphic, if there's something I can change or add to it to make it more clear. And I will catch you guys later.